I'd like you to think about the last game you played. Got it? Now, I want you to think about how you felt when you played it. Do you think that you had the same exact feelings as any other player? Games affect every player differently, so what if we could use these different experiences to enhance the way games are made? What if I told you that I've designed a system that will do just that? Hello, my name is Hannah Richards, and let me introduce you to Control Your Emotions. Control Your Emotions is a system designed to take the input of a player's real-time emotion and use it to control the direction of the game's narrative. What this means is that when a player is having an in-game conversation, the system will check for their current emotion and procedurally generate a message based on the combination of emotions. Now, before we check out the prototype, let's talk a little bit about how the system works. This flowchart represents the basic process of the system. First, the player will start a conversation with an NPC. Then, after the NPC has spoken, the system will check for the different combination of emotions from the player. Once that has been calculated, the system will procedurally generate a response that appropriately represents the player's current emotion. Finally, the NPC will respond to the player's response. This process will continue to loop until the conversation is completed. Once the conversation is completed, the data of that conversation will be saved into the game's database so that it may be used to help build the overall unique main narrative of the game for that player. Now, let's go ahead and hop into the prototype to show the system in action. As you can see, we have begun an interaction with the NPC, and they are displaying their text. It would be at this time that an emotion tracking hardware or device would be scanning for the player's current emotion. For the prototype, the player is able to manually adjust the emotions. Once the proper emotional data has been determined, the system will check for the combination of emotions and procedurally generate an appropriate narrative response. The NPC then responds to the player's response and continues the conversation. We are then met with the same pattern from before. We will continue to go through this process until it is time for the conversation to end. At the end of the conversation, the final result will be procedurally generated based on the last combination of emotions detected within the conversation. Now that we know how the system works, let's go ahead and play through the scenario again, but this time with a different set of emotions. For this first question, let's go ahead and assume that we are mostly happy, then mad, then sad. As you can see, our response is now different than the previous one. You will also notice that the NPC's response is also different than before. Now for this part of the conversation, let's go ahead and say that we are mostly happy, then sad, then mad. Once again, now you can see that both we and the NPC have different responses than the ones in the previous scenario. After putting in different emotions from the last scenario, you can now clearly see that the entire conversation was changed, including the final conversation stage. Now, how is any of this innovative? The reason the Control Your Emotion system is innovative is because it will use the data of a player's real-time emotion in order to procedurally generate the narrative of a game. This system will allow for a new and unique approach when making narrative-focused video games. As people, we allow our emotions to contribute to our everyday real-life choices. We let them write the special narrative of our lives, so why not let them do the same in our games? Imagine what we could do if we let our emotions control our fictional worlds too. Earlier, I asked you about your last game experience, so now I will ask you about your future. The next time you play a game, will you let your emotions take control? If you would like to know more about this project, please visit my website by scanning the QR code now. I would also like to say a special thanks to UAT alumni Alec Carter. This prototype would not have been possible without his programming guidance, knowledge, and teachings.